Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Kim,
This is Andy.
and we're going to read to you from the Urantia book. But first, we have 365 Days of Walking the Red Road by Terry Jean. And you've got today's.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
April 11th. And I want to say happy birthday, Daddy, in case you're watching, but you probably aren't. But okay.
Today, something from Chief John Ross of the Cherokee. He lived from 1790 to 1866. He said, "Convince the world by your character that Indians are not as they have been shown."
Aha. So he's trying to live down a stereotype. Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds like Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
I have a dream.
Yeah.
On this date in history, April 11th, the American Indian Civil Rights Act was passed by the U.S. Congress in 1968.
Should I look that up quick?
That is huge.
That was
Prior to that time,
Yeah.
prior to that act, all native ceremony, sweat lodges, Sundance, so forth, were outlawed, and people could be thrown in jail for participating in native ceremonies.
I think that was even after this, though. I think that was later than this. The American,
I think you're right. That was in the 70s.
right?
Right. So the American Indian Civil Rights Act.
Oh gosh, the heck.
That was a Religious Freedom Act. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I'm gonna look it up. American Indian Civil Rights Act of 1868 is a federal law. It says Indian tribal governments cannot enact or enforce laws that violate certain individual rights. Okay, so this law put a limit on tribal sovereignty. Even though, so that kind of like is establishing the relationship between Indian governments, right? What was the purpose of the Indian Civil Rights Act? The Indian Civil Rights Act was amended for the third time in 2010. Okay, it was passed with the goal to improve public safety and justice systems in Indian country in response to significant rates of violent crime. So there's more crimes on native lands. So here, but this is all according to white United States federal laws. Okay, so oh, there, yeah. Okay, you know what? Why don't we like put a link here or anything? This looks interesting. Okay, so I'm going to copy this here. The Indian Civil Rights Act. Okay. Yeah. So anybody, I'll just put a link in there. Yeah. Yeah. So whether this was a good thing or not probably would depend on certain circumstances. It might or might not be a good thing depending on your point of view, because it does limit tribal sovereignty, but it does afford some protection to vulnerable Native Americans, which, basically, it's the United States government saying to them, well, we think you're probably not competent to govern yourselves, so we're going to put this just in case you're not.
But if Native Americans are Americans, if they're U.S. citizens, then they have the right to constitutional guarantees. And so tribal law cannot override those constitutional rights, Bill of Rights.
Yeah, okay, well, that's true, but they are more like self-governing bodies. I mean, but it's like a limit, like to like how much does the federal government want to get involved with what's going on in Indian reservations. So if you've got some kind of a problem where I don't know. I just remember, I remember in Spirit of Crazy Horse, those
Mhm.
feds came down because somebody stole a pair of cowboy boots from somebody else. Do you remember that in that book?
I don't.
It was something about a pair of cowboy boots, pair of boots. Now, do they want to get involved in stuff like that? Do they want to get involved in stuff like, oh, some kind of case of, you know,
I don't think
just
so.
hear something? Yeah, see what I mean?
Mhm.
So I think that, I brought that up to one of my social studies professors when I was in college. Is that what if, would it benefit Native people to invoke protection under the United States Constitution? And in some cases, maybe, but there's that's governed by treaty laws too.
Mhm.
They can't just, yeah, it's a complicated area
Mhm.
of law. I
Mhm.
know that every time I do my taxes, because this is taxable income from, and
Mhm.
this isn't from
Mhm.
the tribe, whatever. But um, it's a complicated issue,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
Mostly the federal government isn't supposed to get involved in something unless it's designated for a major crime, because there's the Major Crimes Act.
Mhm.
Unless it's like a murder or a deadly assault or something like this. But then here come the feds trotting in that says, oh, we need to investigate this matter of cowboy boots, stolen boots.
Mhm. Right.
Well, that's a pretense for something else.
Mhm.
So it's basically the United States government can do whatever they want to the Indian government, but the Indian government can't do certain things.
Good conversation, but maybe beyond the scope of our
Yeah,
reading.
it is. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll look at this then. Okay. Chapter 70. So easy to understand and practice. Here we have like the top of the waterfall going into a deep well. This is really okay. So that's like, so the water is going down deep into the earth. Okay. You want to know my little method here? Like, okay, so if it's on this side of the page, then you read it. See?
All right.
If it's, see, this was on this side of the page. If it's on the other side of the page, then
So
okay.
easy to understand and practice.
Okay.
The great integrity is so easy to understand and so easy to practice. Yet it is not understood, nor is it practiced. It is not understood because people's heads are filled with 10,000 trivia and rationalizations, leaving no space for anything else. It is not practiced because people are kept busy, though bored, with the 10,000 corruptions and miseries that leave no time for the three treasures.
Yeah, that's it. All these things are coming at us all the time, and we can't sort through all this stuff and make time for what's really important. Because what's really important is so simple, it's so easy,
Mhm.
but we're so distracted from it. But all this,
The great integrity is so ancient, as old as the universe itself. How can we expect people to remember it after so many millennia of repression? That is why sages dress in rags while they wear the three treasures deep inside their hearts. Wow.
it's really beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
Flip the page, son.
And then on to the Urantia book,
Yes.
where we're in paper 42, um,
Section 3.
classification of matter. And
Okay.
according to your guidance, then I'll have
I
you
read this.
that.
Well, I'll read up this side,
you
and
read-
then you read this side.
Okay. All right.
I don't care.
That works.
That's my little thing. Okay. Matter in all universes, excepting in the central universe, is identical. So matter in heavenly matter is different. It doesn't say they don't have matter, but it's different. Okay. Matter in its physical properties depends on the revolutionary rates of its component members. The revolutionary rates, okay,
Hmm.
I'm assuming like electrons and stuff. The number and size of the revolving members, the electrons, right? Their distance from the nuclear body or the space content of matter, as well as on the presence of certain forces as yet undiscovered on Urantia. So there are undiscovered forces. So physicists, you haven't discovered everything yet. You need to be patient, people. Yeah. In the varied suns, planets, and space bodies, there are 10 grand divisions of matter. Ultimatonic matter, number 1, the prime physical units of material existence, the energy particles which go to make up electrons. So these particles make up electrons. So they've divided up like neutrons and protons into quarks. But I don't think they've ever split an electron, because electrons are like millions of times or billions of times smaller than protons. So these ultimatons make up electrons. Okay? Subelectronic matter, the explosive and repellent stage of the solar supergases. Because we go from the really tiny to the really big. So electricity, subelectronic matter, comes from solar supergases, comes from the really big. Okay, number 3, electronic matter, the electrical stage of material differentiation. Electrons, protons, and various other units entering into the varied constitution of the electronic groups. So think of the electrical as a stage or a phase of material differentiation, instead of it just being, because we always think of things as just being like they are, like forever, eternity, and the only thing that's like that, it says, is an ultimaton. Right? That's how we always think of like these atoms or like electronic things, but that's a stage of matter, stage of development. Various other units entering into the varied constitution of the electronic groups. For subatomic matter, matter existing extensively of the interior of the hot suns. 5, shattered atoms found in the cooling suns throughout space. So subatomic matter is different than a shattered atom. Well, subatomic would mean smaller than atom. So why would that be different than a shattered atom? But those are different things. So these are in the hot suns, a subatomic matter.
In the interior of the hot suns.
Interior of the hot suns. And these are like found in cooling suns, shattered atoms. So why is that different, is what I'm saying. I don't know, but I guess it is. There's so many questions that come up to my mind as I look at this. Okay. Ionized matter, number 6. Okay, that I understand. Individual atoms stripped of their outer chemically active electrons by electrical, thermal, or X-ray activities and by solvents. Okay, you go.
Okay, atomic matter, the chemical stage of elemental organization, the component units of molecular or visible matter. 8, the molecular stage of matter as it exists on Urantia in the state of relatively stable materialization under ordinary conditions.
Okay.
9, radioactive matter, the disorganizing tendency and activity of the heavier elements under conditions of moderate heat and diminished gravity pressure.
Right.
10, collapsed matter, the relatively stationary matter found in the interior of the cold or dead suns. This form of matter is not really stationary. There is still some ultimatonic, even electronic activity, but these units are in very close proximity, and their rates of revolution are greatly diminished. 13, the foregoing classification of matter pertains to its organization rather than to the forms of its appearance to created beings. Neither does it take into account the pre-emergent stages of energy, nor the eternal materializations on paradise and in the central universe.
Okay, so there's a lot they're not telling us again. Okay, so So we're classifying this, but there's a lot of things we're still not telling you. Okay, that's okay. That's a lot of stuff right there, isn't that?
It is.
Okay, so what I'm getting, like, the broad picture is, like, we're going from they're presenting matter to us, because we tend to think of matter as like the static, firm, fixed
Mhm.
thing, but
There's more to it.
they're presenting it to us in terms of a flow of stages
Mhm.
of things. Like electronic matter is a stage, and so it's not like firm classifications, but there's like flow. Like it could be an ultramatonic type of matter, and then it goes to a subelectronic type of matter, and then it goes to, and it ends up, you know what I mean? And they can go, so there's, you know what I mean? So I'm starting to think of everything in terms of flow, from change from one category of something to another. But I think in order to make us feel secure, to make us feel like we have a grasp of what's happening in our world, we need to have, like, some things just, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like this thing here, okay, this is a book, it'll always be a book, right? Okay, it's a book. Okay, but that's not true. Someday it's going to be like shredded up into, like, like when it gets old and it ends up in, like, so it could be recycled into a paper bag or something. Or, when this earth explodes, these molecules here could be scattered all over the place, and something else could happen to them. So, I'm starting to think more in terms of developmental stages of existence, and flowing with those stages, instead of trying to nail down, this is that, this is that, this is that,
I like
you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So
I like that flow.
just in
stage.
general,
Mhm.
speaking of, in my existence, I'm here in this body here, but that's not always going to be the case. I'm going to be a Urantia body. I'm going to be like all kinds of, like, different kinds of
Flow
things.
state.
Yeah.
I like
So that's really important, I think. And I think that's kind of the main thing, because so many people get stuck on something. It's got to be like this. This is the idea. This is the idea. But no, you have to loosen yourself up from those things, and just see whatever stage you're on. It's a good stage to be on. It's not like you shouldn't be on that, but you're looking to develop. You're always developing, whether you want to or not. You are.
Mhm.
So so find the space in between the stages, and be willing to embrace all the uncertainty that comes with living and being, and just trust that there's that it's going to where it needs to go. Yeah. Okay. Sometimes I get carried away. Okay. All right. So that's really, really good. And thank you for being with here this morning. Okay. Have a wonderful Monday and a wonderful week. Okay.
Have a great day.
Yeah. Bye now.
Bye.